similes are weak. Want to know what we mean by that? Then stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie authors on their journey to publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Catane, and I write Christian and nonfiction. Fiction and nonfiction. Christian. I can't.
You write it well, baby. That's all that matters. You write it well.
Oh my gosh. I have the worst sinus headache and my brain is not connecting. Sorry.
Oh no. Oh no. I'm sorry to hear that.
I've had it like a week. I should be over it by now, but you know.
Oh, well, good morning to you and good morning to SL Parent. Hello, Piper. Hello, Catherine, Carol. Our friends joining us in the live chat. If you're ever able to join us at 10 a.m. on Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, we would love to have you in the live chat. It's always fun for sure. And a lot of times it's super informative because like I like to say, there's not a dud in the bunch. The people who join us during our live chat are great. And if you just can't get enough, you can go to Facebook and join the listeners of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast group there. We keep the party going. We have a little bit of shenanigans on Saturdays, and it's a great community. So we welcome you to join us. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Please feel free to leave us a review anywhere that you catch our podcast. And please know that in Apple Podcasts, everybody's theme song seems to be playing at like 0.75 of the speed, I've noticed. Now, maybe it's just in my world. Like everybody seems to be talking at the right pace, but anytime I hear anybody's theme music, it feels like somebody has slowed it down.
Really? Have you tried listening to ours and see if it does the same thing?
That is when I first noticed it. I was like, our theme song is not coming through. And then I noticed it like with somebody else's theme song who like I'm familiar with what it's supposed to sound like because you don't know if you're new to the person and they don't know that they're representing themselves with this like dirge of a
right.
of an entry.
Can you imagine? Song. Can you imagine like a funeral dirge type? Hey, we're the podcast.
But again, I maybe it's just something going on with my particular device, but just be aware that if it seems like our theme song is slower than YouTube, we are aware. At least I am, and now the other ladies are too.
Hey Tina, that could be a good idea for our other podcast that you and I were just discussing that we were going to start. Tina and I are going to have we're going to have an extra podcast where we convict everybody else about their sins.
Oh my goodness, Pastor Mark Paholski, God rest his soul. He used to call that running around being a mini Holy Ghost.
That's what we call it, the mini Holy Ghost.
Oh, that's good. That's so good. Mini Holy Ghost. It's a fire and brimstone like Bible study with Jen and Tina.
Those little mini powdered donuts for some reason. That's always what I think about because they're white, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, Piper wants to know if everybody is hunkering down, staying warm this morning too. And I would say I am. Yes.
Hibernation is the thing.
There was frost on my windshield again this week. I was not a happy camper. Yes. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. That's not supposed to happen to me anymore. Although, honestly, I can't complain because it has been sunny, which was my biggest complaint about the Great Frozen Mitten was I didn't get enough sunshine. So, again, I really can't complain compared to you guys. But you are staying warm. Everybody still has their heat, that stuff.
I mean, it feels almost like it's just business as usual up here. We did have one snow day where kids didn't go, and I think it was because of the cold weather. But then, like today, it was negative 15 or 20. They had school, so like it's just like I feel like we got the least of the problem with this storm that went across. Even though it hit us too, I feel like we were just maybe more prepared, or we didn't get it as bad.
I think it kind of went below us, and we just kind of got a dusting on the top.
Yeah. I mean, for sure we have snow. We have some deep snow, but like it's January, so.
My husband's happy. He gets to go use his new snowblower.
I did drive my girls to co-op yesterday, and it was fine when we left. And by the time we got to co-op is 20 minutes away. The roads were like, it was bad. It went south really fast. And I told my girls, I'm like, this was like a master class in how to drive in Michigan, because everything. I had to pump my brakes at one point. I had to like drive into the fishtail, like all these different things. And my girls are like, should they have canceled? I'm like, no, it's Michigan. I'm just driving in the weather.
You should be used to it by now.
Used to it, but my one daughter is in driver's training right now, so it was kind of like a teachable moment, like, okay, this is what you do. Catherine says heat layers, blankets, fire. Yep. And Piper says weatherman said our average temp at this time of year is 38 degrees, and we are well below that. And we also have Mrs. Robinson in Robertson. I always want to say Mrs. Robinson. Well, here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Okay, sorry. We need to get into the topic. I'm babbling today. So, we lost your volume again, Jamie. We can't hear you again. So, Jamie,
I muted. That's so
good. I was like, we're having tech issues today for sure.
And I feel like I'm glitching. So if I interrupt anybody, I'm sorry, but I feel like I am like 10 seconds behind you guys or something.
You're fine for me. It's Jamie that seems glitchy for me. We'll see. We'll get through this, ladies and gentlemen, because we are the queens of tech issues. Not that we solve them, we just have them all the time. So.
Yes.
Okay, so I was trying to interject that we're supposed to get to a low of 29. So I just wanted to say that we are very much suffering. We're suffering. Okay.
Oh boy.
It's different though, honestly, because we talked about this in the past. Our blood thickens up here in the north, and so we can handle the cold. You guys don't have that, so 29 degrees probably feels like negative 20 to you. It's very similar. So
my husband was watching a football game, and that was taking place in Denver over the weekend, and they had the football players on the sidelines with oxygen tanks because it's the changes in elevation.
Yeah.
Yeah, the air's thinner.
Yep.
Okay,
all right, I'm excited about this topic. Sorry.
Yes, so am I, because I opted to be the host of this topic because I have more questions than answers for sure. And for those of you who do not know, or maybe have forgotten, our illustrious Jen has a former life as a teacher, so she is really with it about some of these concepts way more than I am. And Tina, Big Brain Tina, also processes stuff faster than I do, maybe. I don't know, because I still kind of feel like I don't get it. So today what we're talking about is metaphors and similes. We titled the episode More Than Like and As, Using Metaphors and Similes to Strengthen Your Writing. So, first
Jamie,
of all, we need to.
Jamie, can you share with them why what was you're the one that asked for this episode, but can you tell them what motivated you to ask for?
Yes, I was listening to this great podcast called the Christian Indie Writers Podcast.
One of our old episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the hosts on there, it's so hilarious. They sometimes call her Julia Sugar Baker, and they sometimes call her Dorothy Zbornak. She was ranting, and she just came out with similes are weak, and then she just went on with her rant about whatever it was. But I was like, that is just such a great, I wonder what she meant by that. So anyway, it's a joke. Obviously it was Jen, and so I said, Jen, we should do an episode called Similes Are Weak, because you were so passionate when you said that. You obviously have some strong feelings, and I think we need to dig into that. And then it also made me be like,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, first of all, like, I don't remember this at all. I don't know what episode it was. I don't know what we were talking about. I don't remember my level of passion. But I thought it was hilarious when you messaged us and said that I had said that. I'm like, yeah, that pretty much sounds like something I would say. Very demonstrative, like similes are weak. But the other thing is, when we were planning this episode and Jamie and I were kind of going through like the outline, she got a little frustrated. She's like, I don't get, and I said, I think the reason why you're struggling is because you don't need to learn this. I feel like it is just ingrained in Jamie. When she, and anyone who has listened to us for any length of time and listened to Jamie's writing at the end of every episode, you just are able to do this. And I think that for some people, it comes so easily that it's hard for you to identify it. It's hard for you to, like, that's just right. That was kind of how our conversation went. You're like, but that's just how you do it. Like, that's just right. And I said, not for everybody. So I think that part of your struggle isn't that you don't get it, or that like one of us, like Tina, has a bigger brain than you or anything. The fact is that it just comes, it's just so ingrained in your DNA that it's hard for you to like pull that one piece of strand of your DNA out and like identify it. So that's how I think. So
it's also like, you know, some people can just get into a stick shift and somebody can tell them this is what you do and they can just drive away. Or somebody like me, I couldn't get it. And I popped the clutch and I popped the clutch. And I'm sorry for anyone who's never driven a stick. This is not going to make any sense. But it wasn't until my father took me into the garage and showed me the transmission taken apart and how the wheels with the teeth on them came together and how it worked. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, that's what the clutch does. It brings the little teeth together. And then I never popped the clutch again. Right. And so some people can just instinctually get in the stick shift and go. And some of us need detailed explanations of how it works.
I think that is a great way for us to start this episode.
Did you like my metaphor?
I did. I love that metaphor. It was so great. I was just getting to there. I was just going to say that. It was awesome. So overall, metaphors and similes, they're not just like decoration just to like make it pretty. But if you're struggling like to make for your writing to feel like it's a little bit meatier, like maybe you do need to go back in and decorate with metaphors. I will say that, but it's more than that. It's what they're used to shape how the reader feels and how they understand a scene. It gives them a deeper, like, making them feel like, just like how we always feel like we know these characters that you write, Jamie. It's because you're using some of these devices without even realizing they're using a device. So,
well, okay, sorry. I'm just going to say, we talked about how this is kind of commonly a beginner issue of like execution is maybe poor. But what I'm thinking of is very much like a writing expert, just like they will say, write what you know. They will instruct you to use simile and metaphor. And then when you go to use it, you kind of do it poorly because you know it's supposed to be there, but you just kind of like do it in a sort of simplified way without further instruction.
Yeah. You know, and the other thing I'm thinking of too, like you joked about me being in my former life a teacher. I was a language arts teacher, for anyone who doesn't know. But I think that as teachers, we are taught to teach how to identify a simile. We teach how to identify a metaphor, which, by the way, real quick, a simile is a type of metaphor. That's why they're so connected. A metaphor, a simile uses the words like or as. We're going to get into that in a second here. I guess I shouldn't go too far into this, but I guess I'll do it right now. So, like, meaning like her faith was like a lighthouse in the storm. And a metaphor doesn't, we're going to talk about metaphors in a second here, but we're taught to identify it. But I don't know that we, as students, when we were in school, really were taught really how to write them. I remember when I was in college to be a teacher. So I went back to school to be a teacher. I went to school to be for communications, and then did not get like have a great job. I worked a job for a while and it just did not. That's a whole nother story. So I went back to school. I kind of discovered that I wanted to teach, and I went back to school to be a teacher. And at the university I went to take, I had to take a few courses to equal their degree in English, and then I could get my certificate. And one of the courses that I had to take was writing for writing teachers. And the philosophy was that you can't teach someone how to write if you can't write yourself. And so it was a writing course. And I remember being in this class. And now, mind you, I'm not old, but I'm older than these kids. I was probably 26, and everyone else in the class was like 20, 21. So they, to me, them, I was this old lady. And I remember we had to present something. I don't remember what the writing was, but or the prompt was, but I came in with a piece about the cornfield across the street from my house. And the whole thing was basically a metaphor of the stability that I found when I would come home from college, and my home was always the same. The cornfield was never going to change. It was always going to be there. Every year there'd be new stalks and new corn, but ultimately it was still a cornfield. And the whole point was that my parents were aging, but they were still my parents, and they would change the wallpaper in the house, but it was still home. And I made this like comparison, and then I finished reading it out, because we had to read our stuff out loud, because that was the whole thing too. Is if you're reading other kids' stuff, you got to be vulnerable too. And anyways, I finished it, and this person, everyone was quiet, and I was like, what? And finally, this one kid spoke up and like, "How do you do that?" And I'm like, "What? Right?" Like they all were writing, and all were fine writers. But it was, the whole point was the metaphor that I'd done. And we had this whole discussion about how we're never taught how to write metaphors. And I don't know how I did. Maybe I was taught by somebody, or maybe like Jamie, it just comes naturally. So this is something that if you feel like you don't know how to do this, don't feel bad, because I think a lot of us don't know how to do this.
I feel like a lot of us picked it up from reading really good authors who use metaphor really well.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, I just want to take a moment here to put a pin so that everybody can remember this moment when we go to my writing sprint later. Because it was like, you'll see why. So just let's put a pin right here. Okay. And so now we just talked, Jen, you covered for us the definition of a simile. It's just basically using the word like. So you say
to compare two unlike, I didn't say that part. You're comparing two unlike things, and you're using in the sentence, you're using the words like or as.
Mm-hmm. And now, why do writers use those in their writing?
As opposed to a metaphor, it's easier. It's definitely easier. Mm-hmm. Tina and I were laughing. Tina's like, I like similes. I said, well, you can use a bunch of similes in this sprint as long as the whole thing you're writing is a metaphor. It has to be one long metaphor. So they are easier. It's a great, it's an easier step into doing metaphors. I think it's an entry level kind of a thing. But the whole point of either a metaphor or a simile is just to help the reader to be immersed into the writing more, or into what part of the scene that you're doing. And so the reason why you would choose a simile over a metaphor is just it's easier. All right, you're laughing, Jamie. What's up?
I think it's a part of my literal nature or whatever is my deal, because I almost feel like I remember learning about similes. And even when we were having the discussion about this outline, and the example is her faith was like a lighthouse. And to me, I'm just like, but that's dumb, because isn't that more metaphoric? Because she's obviously not standing on a rocky shore. She obviously is not made of stucco or brick or whatever a lighthouse is. She obviously does not have a lantern on the top of her head. And I almost kind of feel like as a kid, we were challenged to write similes, and like I couldn't, because like for whatever reason, I couldn't think of like his face was like a bird's, hook nose or something, right? Like, so for me, it's not like that at all. So you're saying it's like it, but it isn't. And so I think that's a part of why my brain kind of gets tripped up. But if you're using it in the sense of what I would think of a metaphor, her faith is like a lighthouse because a light is her faith. Like it's not, she physically is like a lighthouse. Am I making sense of why that was so screwy to me as a kid?
Yes. But the whole point is that it isn't like logically everybody knows that her faith is not a lighthouse. She's not a lighthouse. Everybody knows that. But what it is, it's supposed to give you an instant, like because somebody's faith could be like the thin layer of ice on Lake Michigan in the first snow. That's not very strong at all. Right. So you could use it. So when you say that, you know what her faith is like. I don't have to go on and on and on about what her faith is like when I tell you that her faith is like a lighthouse in the storm.
And a lighthouse draws like guides, you know what I'm saying? Others.
Yeah. Okay.
And this came to me. I just want to throw this in here because maybe I'm way off base, but this came to me when I looked back at my sprint after I had done it. because there's both similes and metaphor in my sprint. And to me, it felt like the similes were sentence level and the metaphor was like big picture of the entire thing. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe I'm off base, but that was just the pattern that my brain like, oh, there we go. It's like big picture metaphor. There are sentences within it that are similes.
And I think, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, okay, I think that
I feel after you.
I was just going to say that I think that is probably very true, that when you say sentence level and then the metaphor is deeper, that that's why similes can also be very cliche, because they're so easy that we kind of fall into overusing it, like the cold as ice or busy as a bee. Like, it's so easy to write those things. You got to be careful that if you're going to be using a simile, if you want to compare two things that are not alike in your writing, that you don't use cliche or make it too cliche. Unless you're joking on it, like you could do busy as a bee and then literally talk about how this person hates bees and then how they are so annoying to them. But then you've gone deeper, right? Now you're using it more metaphorically with what's going on with the person. So.
Okay, so I appreciate all of that sort of explanation about simile, but now what is a metaphor? And during our conversation, Jen and I talked about how all rectangles are squares, but not all squares are rectangles, right? So it's kind of that. So a simile is a type of metaphor, isn't it?
Correct.
Which I think is maybe where my whole hang up is like, why are we differentiating between them? What is the point of having this whole other word simile if they are just a type of metaphor? But anyway, how do we define metaphor as opposed to simile?
Right. So a simile, like I said, uses like or as in the sentence. So what it's saying is that two things that are different from each other, this thing A is like thing B. But what a metaphor is saying is thing A is thing B. So instead of saying her faith is like a lighthouse in a storm, you would say her faith is a lighthouse in a storm. And I know that it seems subtle, but to a reader, it really makes a huge difference. It's stronger. It really pulls you, like you're more into it. Like, because first of all, not only because the language is stronger, we're taking out weak words, which could be a whole nother topic, which you could speak on, Jamie, because you've been my editor and you're very good about picking out weak words. But also the fact that when someone says her faith is a lighthouse in the storm, it pulls you in. Like, you're like, well, what do you mean by that? Like, all of a sudden your attention is more to the details of what is writing, whether you realize it or not.
Okay, and so you've touched on a little bit of the fact that a metaphor is going to be more powerful. We started these all, metaphors are weak, or I mean, similes are weak. And we were, if you continue that sentence, it would be as opposed to metaphors, which are powerful. And I think a part of that is because of, when you just put the two sentences together, her faith was like a lighthouse and her faith was a lighthouse. I do see how the one would be stronger. I think that we see some of that in the Bible, like you are the salt of the earth. It's not you are like the salt of the earth.
Right.
I am the light. I am the vine and you are the branches, kind of thing. So I think if you put the word like into any of those sentences, it would be, well, first of all, like a Valley Girl Jesus, but also
Valley Girl Jesus. We need t-shirts that say that. Like a Valley Girl Jesus.
You're like the salt of like the earth. Anyway.
You guys wear the t-shirts and I'm going to walk over there so I don't get hit by lightning.
So, okay, there's different types of metaphors to further sort of complicate or educate, however you want to put it. What are those like?
Well, there's direct metaphors, and now we're getting really deep, everybody. If your eyes start to like cross, that's fine. You don't have to understand all of this. But like for those of you that really want to get really deep into this and try to like do more of this in your writing, this is where we're going right now. So there's direct metaphors, and there's indirect metaphors, and extended metaphors, which is what we wrote today, was an extended metaphor. So in order to answer what a direct metaphor is, let's start with an indirect. An indirect metaphor is where the comparison is implied but not stated directly, which is what I wrote today. It'll show the meaning through like the description, through the action of what's happening in there. But there's constant, like, you have to be thinking about what you're trying to compare when you're writing this. You can't just like, it can't be kind of accidental generally, unless you're just magical like Jamie, I suppose. But so it's where you never mention the lighthouse. It's where you talk about this woman. You probably don't even mention her faith, really. You give us enough about her background, like that most people's faith would be shaken at this point. And then you talk about a lighthouse and how it works. But the whole time, you're describing the woman, even though you're describing a lighthouse. So that would be an indirect metaphor. One of the examples that we talked about is the classroom buzzed with noise. That would be like a busy as a bee, maybe metaphor, without saying busy as a bee. And you would continue, as you talk about it, you would continue that whole buzzed feeling or sound. Then that's an indirect.
So let me just throw something in here. Okay. Is it possible that it's kind of, in that case, a little bit open to interpretation? So someone might think of busy as a bee, but as you continue to describe activity in the classroom, some other person might think the metaphor is a zoo, and that's okay, right? Like, so if the metaphor leads two different people to two different conclusions, it's not wrong.
Right. I agree. I've always said this too. When I was teaching literature, I would say, I would love to tell you that this is the one theme to Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, but he's not here to tell me whether I'm right or not. Right. So there's a lot that is left up to interpretation to your reader. And that's what you want. That's the whole point of a metaphor, is to draw your reader in to the story and have them interpreting, have them feeling it and them living it, not just like giving them information. This is something else we talked about, Jamie, that I'm not sure it's even on our outline, but this is like the exact opposite of showing. If you are struggling with show, not tell, play around with metaphors, because this will for sure be showing, not telling. I don't need to tell you that that Marnie has great faith, period. No, I'm going to show how Marnie has persevered and how she has done it. And this is one of the ways, is through metaphor.
Your whole explanation makes me think about when people come up to me and they'll say about my husband, how do you keep up with him? And I always say, well, the worker bees always come back to the queen, so I just stay where I am. Like, that's my
that's so good. All right, not only is that a great metaphor, for those of us that know you and Bob well, that is so perfect. That is so perfect, hon. I love it.
Yeah, it's good advice for women everywhere.
So actually, I'm better at metaphor than I thought I was.
You're great at it.
Actually, you have to understand metaphor to be a Bible study teacher. I really came to that conclusion because Tuesday, you guys were talking about the whole metaphor thing, and then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday was preparing my Bible study for Wednesday night, and I was just thinking, like, here I am trying to give people biblical truths in a way that they can understand it. And what do? I always go to metaphor. Always, every time.
Well, Jesus did.
Yeah. Like, it's just natural to say, this is what this means, and picture it this way. Yeah. So anyway.
And an extended metaphor, just so we can like move on from this, is basically just expanding this over several sentences, maybe over an entire chapter, an entire scene. I suppose you could do an entire book on it, but Jesus was the master metaphor like writer, because all those things that Jamie listed are things that Jesus said, and it's true. If Jesus had just said, "I'm like a light," it'd be like, "Oh, okay." But when he says, "I am the light of the world," you're like, "What?" And you pay more attention.
I muted myself again. Wonderful, wonderful is what I said. And a metaphor can be indirect and extended. It can take a really long time. A whole book, like you said, depending on what kind of a writer you are. And I think that that's great. So just real quickly, I think of like a hero's journey. So do you think that like overall, like a hero's journey, I don't know, it's like resonating with me as like a metaphor, like you write these books. Anyway, I think they're different things, but that's kind of where my brain is tracking.
But I think you're right, because when you go and look at the title of the different plot points in a hero's journey, they're all metaphors. Crossing into the unknown world. There's one that's called Going into the Innermost Cave. There's one about I don't even remember now, but like all the titles are metaphors for something else.
Okay, so I already said, you don't have to state the metaphor, right? It can be left unstated and people can kind of be brought to a conclusion. So what do you think about why use them anyway in the first place, Jen?
It improves your writing. Let's just be honest. It just again, the show versus tell. It takes your book and your storytelling to the next level when you're able to use a metaphor well, because you're not going to be at telling what's happening as often as you'll be showing. It helps to engage your reader. Again, like when Jesus says, "I am the light of the world," you start to listen. Like, what does he mean by that? Like, you're paying attention. I just think that like they're subtle, and they're poetic. I honestly feel like it just brings a level of poetry to any kind of writing, any genre, in a way that just writing without metaphors can't do.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, like, a lot of times when I'm reading something and then I get done reading a chapter or even the whole book or even just a passage, and I'll like just put it down for a minute and I'll say, that was poetry. Like that was pure poetry. And there's this feeling that it gives you inside. And it's usually when that happens, it's because they have used metaphor so masterfully.
Well, and I think, when I was a new writer and I would go to write something, I would sort of think to myself, oh, but nobody cares about what she's thinking about X, Y, and Z, and nobody cares about these little details. And this is part of the reason why it was difficult for me to imagine ever penning 50,000 words on the same subject, because I'm like, how are people not? And then I'm like, well, how do people do this? And when you think about it, it's saying all of those things in a way that either speaks to the larger metaphor of the book. Like Jen, I think you accidentally ended up with like a storm theme. So like you can write metaphors that tie into your theme. And that gives you an easy way to like communicate information to your readers that won't seem dull to them.
Right. So that's a great way to say about the accidentally writing metaphor. When I was sprinting, it something accidentally happened in my writing, which was great. But now as I move forward with the story, I'm very conscious of the metaphor of what the storms mean to my characters, and how the storms changing is my characters are also changing too. So I'm very conscious of that. So
and that just adds sophistication to your book, even though it's kind of a subtle thing that you're doing there. I don't think it's in anybody's face, that things are stormy and then there's a storm. Like it's not like that, but it adds a level of sophistication.
Right. So to kind of wrap up the what are they conversation, like the differences between the two. So similes compare, it's like this, it's as cozy as, so like and as, where metaphors transform. So like similes will signal to your reader that this is an illustration in the story. This is an example in the story, where metaphors say this is the reality of the story. It's like, so with my storm, this in the book, like as you read it, this isn't like, oh, her life is like this storm. No, her life is a storm. This storm that we're experiencing is her life, and they go the hand in hand. And so that's part of the difference. So like similes explain, metaphors just immerse you into it. So, but similes still work. So I don't want us to not say that they can't work. Yeah. So they're
just right. It's just to your point, they're just weaker. And we kind of talked about that a little bit. Do we have anything else to say about the weakness of similes, since we covered that a little bit earlier?
I would say that the best place to use a simile is in dialogue. So I want to make sure we say that clearly.
Oh, yeah.
To have genuine dialogue, people do not speak in metaphor. I mean, unless you're like Fraser Crane or like that, like who, like, but it's also saying something about your character, right? We know as soon as I said Fraser Crane, you laugh because you knew about how he spoke and like how he's very full of himself and he's very uppity. Most people don't talk like that. We will, when we speak, we talk in similes if we're gonna do any sort of comparison. So,
or if you're writing a song. Because a certain song that compares to She's Like the Wind, like I don't even know if that's an appropriate song, but it's the one line has been running in my head rent free ever since this subject came up, and I'm like, I'm not sure that song would be the same if, I don't know, maybe She Is the Wind would work, but
and they work for humor. I laughed when Jen brought up Fraser Crane because you know, if you're trying to be comical, similes can work. You know, your face is like a whatever that's supposed to be funny, which is not. But anyway.
All right. Before we go on to the feeding of the bags, I know we've given a lot of like information of what they are, and I don't want to be that teacher that helps you to identify it, doesn't help you to write it. And so here is my best advice, and you're all going to roll your eyes, but really it is you just got to try. You just like our sprint today was us just trying. And that's the only way you're going to get better at it is to practice it. Also, when you find a simile in your writing, take the like or as out. Don't allow yourself to use that word and rewrite that whole sentence or paragraph. And it can be as simple as that. Like we did it earlier today. Her faith is like a lighthouse. And then we took out like, and we said, her faith is a lighthouse. And it changes the whole feeling, and it will also change how you write the paragraph. So there's your homework, ladies and gentlemen, before we move into the feedings in the back, is just try it. Take out the like and as, and just try writing some extended metaphor. It was actually, I was a little nervous about today, but it was kind of fun. So.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And if you want to keep the conversation going over, Piper has something really clever, I think is a great way to end the episode. She says, I think similes introduce a narrative distance compared to metaphors. I like that. Yeah, you feel a little bit more separate from the thoughts. Okay, so are we ready then to move on to the feeding of the bags? Yes. Well, what this means is that we write for 15 minutes before the podcast, and then we bring those sprints to you. We read them on air without any second guessing or correcting or editing. And so we always give positive and encouraging feedback to one another about these sprints. So Jen, why don't you tell us what our sprint prompt today was, which we've given a big old hint, and what you wrote.
I was just going to say, we've really hinted at this the whole episode, but today's sprint prompt was spend the entire sprint time crafting one extended metaphor. So I don't know if I did it well, but it was fun doing it. Right. So this would be something I'd have to go back in and massage and edit and, as soon as she stepped out of her apartment, it started. In Carrie's experience, it seldom starts raining with a downpour. Most of the time, it all begins with a gentle mist, barely noticeable. Or even if she does notice it, she convinces herself that she can handle it on her own without the help of her umbrella. Everyone else around her seemed to be managing the weather just fine. She could too. She took a steadying breath and then flipped the hood of her sweatshirt over her head and headed down the front stoop. If she didn't hurry, she'd be late for her exam. Her exam. She took another deep breath, but it didn't help. The rain went from nearly unnoticeable rain to a shower. Carrie looked around. No one else seemed to notice. She could do this. She didn't need her umbrella. What she needed was to get to her exam and get this over with. She tightened the strings of her hoodie. Why didn't anyone else in the street seem bothered by the rain? By the time she got to the corner, the rain no longer came in droplets. It was coming in sideways, beating her in the face, in the chest. She couldn't breathe. Carrie turned her back to the onslaught, but that only gave her a moment of reprieve before the wind whipped around her and the rain continued its attack on her face, her chest, her breath. Where's your umbrella? The voice came from somewhere in the rain, but Carrie's eyes were closed. She was focused on breathing and battling the storm. I left it in my apartment. You better go back for it. No use fighting something you can't control when you have a perfectly good umbrella at home. She heard the man's steps continue past her, sloshing in the puddles. She did have a perfectly good umbrella at home. It was the perfect tool to help her navigate the storm. And whether or not anyone else needed an umbrella, Carrie did, and there was no shame in that. Carrie ran back up the stairs and to her apartment. She grabbed her umbrella, but first she took her anxiety medication. It was a perfectly good tool to help her navigate the storm, and there was no shame in that.
Okay, so yeah. I think this is about grief. Is it about grief? Are you going to tell us? It's not. Okay, what do you think, Tina?
Well, I think it's about anxiety. Because she had the tool for the rain, but she also had the tool for her anxiety that she didn't take because she thought she could handle it.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. Yep. Yeah.
But I love how you had a buildup of the rain and you had a buildup of the anxiety, and you also had her physical symptoms in there, shortness of breath and the mentioning of the chest region, which also gets tight in moments of anxiety. And I do appreciate the bigger message that it's okay to use the tools you have.
Thanks.
And I like that you use the test, because we've all been there. Like, you're not ready for the test and you're anxious about it, and it builds, and like you're on your way to take the test that you're not ready for. And so that memory actually makes you exhibit the same symptoms.
Yeah, thanks.
In yourself that she's feeling.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I think I might use this for Marnie's story. I think I might, but again, I made a new character because same reason that Tina just said, is that the exam, we all understand like, as soon as you hear exam, you're like, oh, okay. Where I don't know how to create that in Marnie's world. I probably will figure it out, but yeah. So I appreciate that.
She could get a speeding ticket.
Except for she's in the city. She doesn't have a car. So
yeah, well,
I'll figure it out.
The listeners don't know too much about Marnie's like life before the Mr. Boss career too. So who knows what'll bubble up there. Yep. Right. Okay, so I will go next. Yeah, it's very good. And Piper says she caught that it was anxiety and she thought that it was excellent. So that's some good feedback for you there, Jen. Thanks. All right, now. Okay, so the reason I put a pin in this is I don't think I did it right. So, but then when Tina said that she likes similes and that she has similes in hers, I think I don't know that I have the word like in here. Oh, maybe I did it. I don't know. Anyway, here we go.
Okay.
Being a mom is yearning, longing, anticipation. Being a mom is patience, stoicism, and endurance. It is worry and anxiety and grief and despair. It is hope and optimism and joy. Being a mom makes you feel like a hero. Being a mom makes you feel like a heel. It is sweet, sticky kisses and Sunday morning snuggles. It is blood and sweat and vomit and tears. Being a mom makes you feel like an expert. Being a mom makes you feel like an ignoramus. Being a mom makes you feel so isolated. Being a mom means you can't even use the toilet alone. Life as a mom is busy and frantic. Life as a mom is a silent home that giggles and screams and fights once filled. Momcore is second-guessing and agonizing over every decision. Which peanut butter has fewer grams of sugar? Which one is made with hydrogenated oils? Momcore is throwing caution to the wind and letting them run out into the rain without putting on a coat and letting them stay up late on a school night. Being a mom is forever wondering, am I doing it right? Will they turn out okay? Being a mom is absolute certainty. It is possible to love fiercely and deeply and unconditionally.
So good, Jamie. First of all, whether you got this assignment right or not, like how, like you tapped into something inside of you, which makes it tapped into me as a mom. And I think everyone else that's listening to this as a mom. And I think you did well. Like you definitely had some similes in there. I caught some similes as you were saying it. And I think that overall, like the whole thing, I think there's a lot of metaphor in there as well. I think you did really good. Emotionally, like that was just so good.
And the use of the contrasts,
mm-hmm.
Like maybe that wasn't part of the assignment, but it was so powerful.
Yes. Piper says, I feel this so much, Jamie, the empty house that screams and however you worded that. Yeah, that was good. That was super good. My favorite one was being a mom is sticky hands, like that one, because we all identify with that. And being a mom really isn't sticky hands, but it is sticky hands. Like, I love that. Really well done.
And so the big metaphor, like you said, you can't really write a big metaphor without kind of knowing what it is. And it's kind of a joke that I say motherhood is a mental disorder. But I feel like it's kind of like in everything. Like I was trying to be like, it is very much there's yin and yang, and there's like an everythingness, but I didn't have one big metaphor. I didn't think, I don't know, it was too vague, which is why I feel like I maybe didn't do it right.
Like what
I should have had like a big picture.
What I got out of it is that motherhood is triumph and failure.
Right. So what you could go back. That's what I'm saying. Like this is all the good stuff happens in editing, right? So like what I agree with what Tina's saying. So what if you went back and you said, motherhood is a battlefield or something like that. Motherhood's not a battlefield, but then you go and everything that you list out, but maybe that's not what you're going for. Whatever it was that you were going for, then you can make that one metaphor at the beginning and the rest of it proves that metaphor correct. Does that make sense?
But I thought I didn't have to do that. I thought I could like leave it open for interpretation or.
Yes, you can. Agreed. Okay. I got from it, like Tina got one thing from it. I got from it that it is emotional roller coaster. That's what I got from it. But maybe it's because motherhood was an emotional roller coaster for me, and everything you said I resonated with. I don't know, but again, I think
that's a choice.
Yeah. So well done. I loved it.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, Tina, what did you do with the write a metaphor for 15 minutes?
Sorry, I have to get back to it now because I touched this thing.
Oh no, she touched the screen.
Okay, because I'm reading it on my tablet because I have trouble seeing the computer to read. So mine I have a hard time like defining metaphor in my brain to like sit down on the fly and write a metaphor. So I started with simile and I kind of went and I used that as inspiration to try to find a metaphor.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, I think that's a great practice.
And because that song was in my head, you'll see.
Okay.
Like the wind in the trees, the Holy Spirit swept through the congregation. It got really quiet. It wasn't just the absence of sound, it was a holy hush, as if everyone was waiting with bated breath for heaven to speak. I closed my eyes. Masterpieces composed themselves on the backs of my eyelids, erasing themselves like an Etch-a-Sketch before recomposing. All the masters recreated things with colors that shouldn't exist. Then the face of Jesus appeared. My eyes flew open. The light was bright and shimmering, the sun blaring into me and exposing everything within. The piles of dirt I tried to sweep under the carpets of my soul. The carpets covered mountains, reaching into the heavens and trying to grab hold of something to save them from the mess. I closed my eyes again, trying to block out the light, but it pushed its way through my weak mortal flesh and bored into my pupils, laying bare the windows of my soul. No, I cried, stop. I tried to turn my face away from the light, but my head wouldn't turn, as if fastened in place by leather straps. I'm sorry, I pleaded. Please give me another chance. But even as I said it, I knew it was no use. I was helpless. I was a beggar, scrambling at crumbs with no fingers. There was no point in fighting, no point in begging, no point in any of it. Help me, I whispered, as my soul hung its head in shame. Then I heard a voice, deep and full of authority, gentle and mighty. It permeated the very air I was breathing. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. I opened my eyes again, suddenly overcome with hope, and doves flew down from above, flying through me and igniting my heart with their flames. I'm saved, I exclaimed. She's awake, I heard somebody say, but she's saying some pretty strange things. That happens a lot, another voice replied. It's a strange side effect of anesthesia. You'll get used to it. Okay, the other voice said, but I'm pretty sure I won't get used to hearing people talking to God. I feel like I need to get my butt back into church. The voices faded as if getting further away. Thank you, I whispered to him, then let myself be carried away on billowing clouds blown by warm southern breezes.
That was so good, Tina. There are so many metaphors in there. I don't even know where to start. But I will all right. So my very favorite one, I think, was on the inside the eyelids, the masterpieces being written. Like, I love that. Like, that is a metaphor for just thinking, like, right, like the thoughts and stuff. But it's on the ins, like, yeah, like, so good. I don't even know where to start, because I was gonna say something about, like, it'd been so cool if you'd made them the eyelids like, but then that would have been a simile, saying like scrolls, because your eyes roll up and stuff. And yeah, so good.
Piper just stole my nugget that I was gonna say. I did love the scrambling like a beggar for crumbs. That was the one that stuck with me out of that.
Yeah,
for sure. And then as just a piece in general, I love that we found out what was going on at the end as she's coming out of anesthesia, because for a while you're just like, all of this is happening, but I thought she was in church, but then it was really a great tie together at the end. I really appreciated that.
Well, I'm glad it tied together, because like I said, it was a sprint. And I went into it like not having a clear idea that I even knew what a metaphor was supposed to look like. And they just came pouring out. Like, it just all came pouring out because it was a sprint. And then I'm glad it tied together at the end. Like, I was like, whew.
I would even challenge you, though, that if you were to go back in and edit this and make it where it wasn't a dream, you would only have to take a couple of things out for it not to be so fantastical, and it could actually be very much a scene in any book, right? Like,
yeah.
So well done. I thought that was a really good use of metaphor. Lots of metaphors. Like, I don't even know where to start. Like, there's so many.
Yeah, like Piper said, there was a lot to love in there, but the beggar piece like really stuck out me too.
The part that really makes me kind of giggle is you talked about the thing on the back of the eyelids. But have you ever closed your eyes and seen like images on the back like that? I wasn't trying to make that a metaphor. I was trying to describe the images that she was seeing on the back of her eyelids.
But you did it with a metaphor.
Yeah, but then you got something completely different than what I meant.
Yeah. Just like what Jamie's saying. Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, we lost Jamie because it's 10 o'clock. So let's move on to the wrap up and what's next. All right, Tina, what is next for you? What do you got going on this week?
I really don't know. I didn't write it all this week because my head, like, I just have this sinus pressure thing going on, and it's just making it hard to focus on anything. But I'm hoping that's going to go away and I can get back, because I really want to finish this book.
It's so hard when you don't feel good.
Right. And this isn't just, I'm sorry, I don't mean to make it sound like writing fiction is easy, but the subject matter of the book I'm writing is actually very deep. And so to try to focus and concentrate and get into, like, I could probably write something very superficial right now, but that's not what I want for it.
Right.
So, and on a lighter note, I accidentally matched my coffee cup to my shirt. So there's that.
On a lighter note, I'm ready for baseball season to start. I got this for Christmas. I love it. It's very glitzy and shiny. I got it from one of my daughters. Like, it's just perfect for me.
Speaking of that, have you seen these British guys that are touring Michigan right now?
Yeah, I have followed them for a long time, and they have been talking about winter in Michigan like they didn't believe it, and now they've been here. Yeah, they're so fun.
So they just went to Ford Field.
Yeah,
and the one guy got on there and explained why the Detroit Lions are now his team.
I
thought it was really funny.
If you're wondering who we're talking about, it's there's Josh and Jase, Jase from England is there. That's the one account, and they each have individual ones. Josh from England and Jase from England.
And there's a third one that's their cameraman.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to look for that one.
And he's funny too.
But they are going all over Michigan, and I love it because they are really like looking at a lot of Michigan stuff. There's some things that I'm like, come on, our food isn't that great. Like every little nook and cranny diner they go into, like the food's so amazing. But I mean, they are from England, so
yeah. And the one guy put, oh my gosh, I just lost the word. You know
pasties?
Those? Yeah, he put ketchup on his pasty.
I do too.
Oh,
really? I don't do gravy and ketchup though. Like I will do gravy or ketchup, but I'm going to try the gravy and ketchup because that looked really good to me. I know everyone is like, what are you doing? But
I'm a big ketchup girl. Like I will eat stuff just so I can have ketchup, but I'm not sure. I'm not a big pasty fan either, so maybe that's it.
She said they did a great one about Verner's. Yes, I agree. Piper says pasty. So a pasty is, if you want to see it in a historical novel, you can read A Calling for Phoebe. But they started in the Upper Peninsula. It came from like Finnish. The Finnish background of people that are in the United States, in Michigan, and it is basically a hand pie. It would have been like the potatoes and the carrots and the beef, like leftover roast stuff. They would be chopped up really fine and baked in like pie dough basically, because they could bake them and they could be eaten cold, but they would also stay warm for a long time because the way they were done. But if you get them here in Michigan, they get served with gravy because it's not like, how a pot pie has kind of a graviness inside of it. These don't. And so you would put gravy over top of it or dip it in, like they were dipping in it. And I do like it with gravy over top. They're so good. Like now I want one.
I'm not a big potato fan, and I think that's probably why.
It's got all of it.
They had something besides potatoes in it.
Oh, they do, like rutabaga. Like there's all kinds of stuff in it.
Oh, but I've only had one, and it was a beef and potatoes.
That's it? Oh no, it'll have all kinds of it. It'll be all like root cellar veggies, because the whole point was in the winter time, and these iron workers would be going into the what's the word I'm looking for? Not caves. Like where do they? The mines. The mine workers would be going in, and they would stay in the whole time before they came out, and so that it would be like in the winter time. This is what they would go for their lunch.
I feel like they took the leftovers from Sunday roast.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And just made it into lunch for the week.
Yeah, because back then there would be all these root cellar vegetables and then this much meat. Right. Yeah. And we're now, I think we like put a big roast in with some vegetables around it, but like they wouldn't have done that back then. It would have been a little,
because it had to last.
Right. Piper says, oh, I don't use ketchup except on burgers, not on my fry. What psychopath doesn't use ketchup with their fries, Piper? What is the matter with you?
And what are you dipping your fries in? That's what I want to know.
And go back to Catherine really quick. She said they did a great one about Verner's. If you aren't from this area, you don't know what a Verner's is, but it is a ginger ale, and it's not like any other ginger ale. It's not. It's the best ginger ale around. But I will say,
it has healing properties.
Yes, we do believe it. But here, it's because you and I were raised in an
wasn't.
You weren't. Okay,
my husband was.
Right. So this area, we were raised like when you were sick or had tummy issues, you drank a Verner's, because back then when I was a kid, there was actual ginger in the ginger ale. The A&W Corporation bought Verner's out years ago. I mean, we're talking decades ago. and it no longer has real ginger in it. So I think it's in our head like that it's supposed to help us get better. Like there are other more natural ginger ales out there that will actually help you with that. But I just say get some like ginger drops, and you can put it in your ginger ale and it will help you out.
It's kind of, when I was a kid and I got sick, my mother would give me warm Jello. So she would make the Jello according to package directions.
Yeah.
But instead of putting it in the refrigerator to gel, she would give it to me while it was still warm and put it in a glass.
For tummy issues or cold?
Yeah, for tummy issues.
Really? I wonder what the science is there.
I have no idea. And because you're sick, you don't drink it real fast, and it would actually start to gel. And that was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Like when it was cooled down enough where you would have like chunks in the liquid. And for some reason, like I want that when I don't feel good.
You know what?
My kids hate it. I was so disappointed in them. They wouldn't drink the warm Jello.
You know what I think that it is? I think that it has to do with the fact that you're just drinking something. So when you're sick to your stomach, you can't really
sugar.
eat nothing. Oh, no, I was thinking like the gelatin is actually protein. It's actually giving you something that you for your body to like feed on, but yeah, you're not putting a ton in your stomach. So I bet you that was
electrolytes in there because of the sugar.
And sugar has electrolytes. I should be the most hydrated person in the world.
Sugar and salt in water. Like they'll say if you don't have the electrolyte drink for kids when they're sick, you can put a packet of Kool-Aid in a gallon of water. So there's something about the sugar too that
interesting.
I don't know. But it's like watered down, so it's not strong, right?
When we were sick, my dad would give us milk toast. Now, that's what his mom did when he was sick. Literally toast some bread, put warm milk over it.
That would make me sick.
Yeah. Well, my dad, for us, he would do some cinnamon sugar over top of it and then milk. So I don't mind that, but his would just be plain. And so, because with the cinnamon sugar and the milk over top, it almost feels like bread pudding, kind of, like squishy bread. And so we would eat that.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
There's no medicinal, yeah, right. There's no medicinal like value to that. It was just something his mom did, and
I
so
don't know. They
like
say
he had to do it.
It's really good for you.
No, he didn't get cinnamon. He did that because we wouldn't eat it unless he did cinnamon sugar. Yeah. So, Piper says, I think we crave what we grew up with when we're sick because it reminded us of being taken care of. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I hate orange juice. Hate orange juice. I like oranges, but I do not like orange juice. But when I'm sick, when I have a head cold, I want orange juice because that's what my dad would always give me was orange juice. And there is medicinal like.
I want Campbell's chicken and star soup. Yeah, when I'm not sick, it's like the worst tasting thing I've ever eaten. But when I am sick, I want it, and I just like drink cans and cans of it.
Yeah. Gosh,
not out of the can,
I get it. Yeah, I absolutely get it. There's so many, like, I agree with it. I think there's so much to do with like a food and smells, taste and smells with your memory that is comforting to you. That there is some definite, and I think there is some science to that. I think that like when we emotionally feel better, it helps us to heal. So
I have to bring this up on this topic because when I was almost 2 years old, a social worker came to the foster home that I was living in and did an assessment. And under favorite foods, she wrote spaghetti and Cheetos.
Are they still?
To this day, if I get sad, if I get angry, if I have any kind of negative emotion, I want spaghetti. Not necessarily together.
Yeah.
But I want spaghetti. I want it so bad, and I want Cheetos, and I want a tall glass of cold milk. And I think that it is like a memory tied to it from when I was little.
Whenever I miss my mom, I want to make Swedish meatballs, and I have not mastered her recipe because, of course, that recipe was not something that was like written down. It was just like she measured with love. Like she had her own thing, and I watched her make it enough times that like I come close, but it isn't the same. But yeah. So
I think even if you got it exactly, it wouldn't be the same because you're the one over the stove, and your nose is the laziest organ in your body. And once you smell something for a certain amount of time, then you stop smelling it.
That's true.
80% of taste is smell. Yeah. So when somebody else makes the same exact thing and you haven't been over there getting used to the smell, that smell like enhances the flavor.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, like my mom always made it like for my birthday or like special, like if I wanted it, like it was something that she made for me. So, and she's not actually here when I eat it, so that makes a difference, right?
Yep.
All right. So, did we ever talk about what your what's next was?
I'm gonna try to get better from this head cold and right.
Okay.
I think I covered it. I don't know.
Last week I said that my what's next was I was going to work on getting my books like set up the free days in Kindle Unlimited, and I haven't done that yet. I haven't even looked over there. Goal not accomplished. So
it's been a really weird week. I feel like I'm a bear hibernating.
My problem is I find other things to get involved in. Probably part of the hibernation thing. I've been you guys know I love to garden, and I discovered something. I am 52, and I never ever had heard of winter sowing. And I am all in now. So for those of you who don't know, you can go Google it. But you literally
and yours means SOW, not SEW.
SOW. Yes. You take milk jugs and you put your dirt and your seeds in it, and you tape it all up and you put it out in the winter, and you let the Lord germinate them. And it is the coolest thing. I cannot wait to see how it helps. And Piper says, I just heard of this last week. I don't know. Maybe our algorithms are similar, Piper. I don't know. But like there are tons of videos. There is like so much information out there. And as much like YouTubing I do for gardening, like I literally will sit for hours and just watch other people's gardening channels just for funsies while I'm like
too, but I never garden a thing.
Oh no, I love it. And like this is the first I've seen of this. Like I can't believe that I've never ever heard of this. So
I will show up on my algorithm now.
I will have to take pictures and keep you guys updated in the Facebook group. So that'll be fun. So
yeah.
But I do need to so for those of you guys who don't know, when we finish here on the podcast, Tina and I are here for minimum an hour doing podcast work. There's stuff that happens behind the scenes that you guys just don't see. And that's okay. You don't need to see how the sausage is made, but there's still stuff that has to be done. And so by the time, sometimes it's more like for me, it'll be even longer. Like maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. After that, I just don't feel like doing anything creative. I'm like, I am brain dead. I am spent. And then then the weekend comes, and then here's Monday, and I should be doing stuff, but I am getting on track with other things in my life. So that's my goal this week. So if anyone wants to send me a message and say, hey, have you looked at your Kindle Unlimited? Have you been to KU and have you made anything free yet? Have you scheduled anything? I'm okay if you guys want to keep me accountable. That would help me actually.
Awesome. I'm going to bug you to death.
Well, you do anyway, so I'm just kidding.
Right.
Right. Tina's like the last person to bug anyone.
I don't. Even when someone has a death or something in the family, I'm like, they have 10,000 people. Like, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm just gonna wait.
That's not true. Every time I've lost somebody, you have shown up every single time, Tina.
Yeah, but I feel like just going and telling somebody, so sorry for your loss, like that. But if it's somebody you know and you're close to and you can actually do something,
yeah,
that's different.
Yeah, I agree. But I want to take this moment to say how much I appreciate you and Jamie and Rhonda. You show up. Like it means so much when you guys walk through the door of the funeral home. It means so much more because I know I don't have to perform for you. I know that's making it really minor, like minimalizing what it is. But I've always said that, from my experience, funerals are not for the family members. They're for everyone else. People think they're coming there to console you, but you end up doing all the consoling for everybody else, and it's exhausting. And when you guys walked in, you were just there for me, and I knew it, and I just appreciate you.
Right.
So
you don't have to be on.
Yes.
Certain people. Yeah.
Yeah. And the one time you guys came, it was so busy. You guys just went and sat down in the back. I saw you for a little bit, and then I didn't get to, and then you guys had to go, and I felt terrible. You guys, why? You guys did not make me feel bad. You're like, nope, you're good. And I just really appreciated that. Just having you there.
Right, because there was 10,000 people trying to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew we were going to talk to you the next day or whatever. And
yeah, you guys are awesome. Hey, Piper says that she was looking at Kindle countdowns for her book this week, but she didn't pull any triggers. We should get on a Zoom call, Piper, and we should do it together. We should figure this out together. We should have Tina be
a countdown thing with music and stuff, and then when the ball's dropping, and then you can do it exactly the same time.
We just need to have Tina in the call too, so she can just be our teacher and just tell us what to do. That's what I like to do. Which, by the way, my website still does not have the S at the end of the HTTP. I need your help, Tina.
You need to get a hold of me. And like, what do I do all day, every day?
Wait for me to call you?
I don't even know.
I don't know.
Sometimes the day is over and I'm like, what have I done?
All right, you and I will set that up because I gotta do it. I gotta do it. So, all right, everybody, we really appreciate you being here. Thanks for those of you that stay for the chat at the end. This is our favorite part. And like, if you guys all stay, then we will do this more often. Hey, Catherine says it's the easiest thing in the world. Oh, so Catherine, are you willing to come on the chat too? The Zoom and be our teacher too? You and Tina can school me and Piper. Would appreciate that. That'd be awesome. Plus, I get to see your pretty face.
We can tag team.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right. Thank you everyone for who was here. Again, like and subscribe wherever you do. It really, really does make a difference, and it really does help us. So until next time, may your pen be prolific and your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye now.